Guys, today I'm gonna save you some money. I honestly can't think of a better time than right now to grab yourself some steals. So today I'm gonna be going over the top 10 best Jordan 1s under retail. And kicking us off, coming in at number 10 is the Jordan 1 Starfish. Now this pair of Jordan 1s I think is really solid. I think it comes in a very solid color blocking. Yes, it is pretty loud in terms of its solid orange, but it manages to contrast all of the orange on this sneaker with really nice subtle tones of like brown and some of the sailed outsole and the tongue. And altogether, I think it makes for a really cohesive and good looking colorway. Now another really big benefit to the Starfish Jordan 1 is the fact that the quality on it is actually pretty solid. As far as the Jordan 1 goes, they definitely did try to elevate this sneaker a little bit more than your standard pair. Overall, I really like the way that these things looked on foot. I thought it was a solid pair and you can grab them for under retail. In fact, the price is pretty decent. Coming in at number 9 is a pair that is severely below retail, and that is the Varsity Red Jordan 1. This is a pair that is way below retail, so if you were on a budget and you wanted a fresh new pair of Jordan 1s, I think this is a pretty solid way to go. In my opinion, it's a solid color block. I mean, you got red and white. There is definitely a drawback to this pair of shoes, and in my opinion, that is the Chanel or Chanel Nike swoosh. It's that kind of carpet material, and that I believe is something that a lot of people didn't like on this pair, including myself. But hey, if you want to get this pair for an absolute steal and then put some work in by cutting off the Nike swoosh, replacing it with a different color, or if you just want to try and shave it down and alter it in some way, because it is so under retail, you won't feel as bad as if you paid full retail or resale price. Taking the number 8 spot is the Jordan 1 Heirloom. This is a pair that I honestly believe that Jordan Brand tried to make super premium, but it kind of just went over most people's heads, including mine. So instead of making this pair of Jordan 1s with all over leather like we see on most Jordan 1s, at least the OG highs, they decided to put black canvas material, which I think is something that turned a lot of people off. Canvas definitely works on some silhouettes, but I think most people just prefer the traditional leather found on regular Jordan 1s, so that might have been a turnoff for some people. But for the tan leather overlay materials, they used Vachetta leather, or however you pronounce that. It's supposed to be this super premium Italian leather that Louis Vuitton uses on a lot of their bags. Honestly, I personally didn't have any idea of what Vachetta leather was. I'm sure there was a lot of you guys who had no idea what it was, so overall, I think this pair of sneakers just went over a lot of people's heads. Taking the number 8 spot is the Jordan 1 Visionaire. Now this one I completely get if it's something that's just not for you. I mean, it is literally a volt green, like almost glow in the dark green pair of Jordan 1s, and that's something we don't see very often. Since the release of these things, I've actually seen some people in person wearing them around, and I've thought to myself like, damn, that actually looks pretty sick. I mean, it's definitely an acquired taste, and it's definitely something that you're gonna have to put a little bit more work into like building an outfit around it. But when you piece together the right outfit, these things do look pretty sick on foot. Not to mention that the materials are actually pretty interesting. They decided to go with the more vintage aspect, at least to some degree. There's a lot of cracked leather and similar aging details that you find on the Jordan 1 Chicago Lost and Found. I would definitely recommend this pair of sneakers to anybody who's really into ones and maybe wants to try something a little bit different if you haven't tried a volt green glow in the dark pair of sneakers before. Taking the number 6 spot is the Jordan 1 Gorge Green. I'm pretty sure the Nike swoosh is the biggest deal breaker for a lot of people when it comes to this pair of sneakers. At least from what I understand, what I've seen people say is that the silver Nike swoosh kills the shoe. I honestly don't mind it, and I know that there's a lot of other people who don't mind it as well, because it is a pair of shoes that is just barely under retail. There's a lot of other pairs on this list that are way under retail. It's very, very clean, and the materials are actually pretty solid. A soft buttery leather on the upper, and the whole idea behind this pair of sneakers is to be inspired by the Co.jp Japan exclusive pack. Coming in at number 5 is very similar to the last one. It's the Jordan 1 Bordeaux. And like I said, these pretty much follow the same storyline, and they have very similar pros and cons to the Gorge Green Jordan 1 because they are also inspired by the Co.jp Jordan 1 pack. They've got the same silver Nike swoosh, and they've also got the same plastic Jordan Wings logo on the top. So if that's something that's an instant deal breaker for you, then maybe forget about this pair of sneakers. This colorway on the Jordan 1, in my opinion, is just something I personally prefer to the Gorge Green, but again, like I said, both of these sneakers share a lot of pros and cons. The leather on the Bordeaux is also nice and buttery and feels really good in hand and to wear around. A bit of an easier colorway to style with multiple different outfits. Taking the number 4 spot is a recent pair of ones, and that is the Jordan 1 White Cement. Now, the idea behind this pair of Jordan 1s is to take inspiration from the Jordan 3 White Cement. They just went a little bit heavy on that elephant print. Even having said that, this pair of shoes kind of fits a bit of a weird category. Like, it's super loud, but at the same time, because all of the colors are neutral, actually relatively easy to rock. Overall, for the price that you can currently find these things at, I think is a pretty dope deal. Before we jump into the top 3, there's a couple honorable mentions which I did want to add to this list, but they're not exactly under retail. They're kind of hovering at that retail price. First one is the Jordan 1 True Blue. This is a very, very clean pair of Jordan 1s. I think a lot of people agree that it's just a solid pair of Jordan 1s in general and very easy to rock and style. I think they're sitting on the Nike sneakers app as well as a bunch of different retailers, so if you search around, you can definitely find these things for retail. Another pair of ones that I know a lot of people actually really liked, and that is the Jordan 1 Low OGX. These are definitely going to be a lot harder to find for under retail, but I do believe if you do a little bit of work, you could probably find them for retail. Final honorable mention is the Jordan 1 Lucky Green. This is a fantastic pair of sneakers, and currently you can find them sat on a bunch of shelves of different retailers. Honestly, this is a Jordan 1 colorway that would have been reselling for a ton of money a couple years ago. So if you want to scoop them up before Jordan 1s come back in trend and the prices start shooting up, I think this is definitely one of the best ways to go. Alright, let's get into this top 3. Taking the third spot is the Jordan 1 Marina Blue. These are just one of those Jordans that are just so wearable. Like, you could just throw them on with almost any outfit and they look solid. It's almost the perfect beater pair of Jordan 1s because it is a darker tone of color. You can beat them down and they won't look completely destroyed. The only real issue with this pair is that I feel like they dropped right as the hype of the Jordan 1 started to decline. They still sold out, and I feel like if they dropped within the past few months, they would have gone way under retail, but because they dropped back then, they're still a little bit harder to find for under retail. Coming in at number 2 is the Jordan 1 Stealth. These are one of my personal favorites. Not only are they super wearable, I mean, it's pretty much just gray and white, but Jordan Brand also made an effort to make these things more premium. Like, it even comes with a leather tongue tag that says quality inspired by the GOAT. Because of the color blocking and there being so much white on this pair of Jordan 1s, they're also super customizable if you're someone who's into that. I think these things look solid on foot, and because they're slightly better leather quality, I think they're going to stand up for a long period of time. But coming in at number 1, and what I truly believe is the best Jordan 1 that you can get for under retail, is the Jordan 1 Heritage. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that these are still under retail because they are so popular. Like, StockX has sold over 17,000 pairs in the last 12 months, which is way more than any other pair of Jordan 1s on today's list. And I think one of the coolest things about this pair of sneakers is the amount of customizations that you can do to this. People seem to pretty much treat this sneaker like a blank canvas because I've seen them making some kind of alternate color of the Travis Scotts. I've seen people make bread toes and even Chicago colorways just by painting a few things. In fact, if you're not really into customizing but you wanted to do something, you could literally just paint the Nike swoosh black, and I think that makes this pair of shoes look way better. So yeah, whether you just wanted to grab a steal and chuck these things on foot and wear as is, or if you wanted to get a little bit extra, you could definitely customize them to look like a pair of Jordans that are like $1,000. But that's my top 10, so I'd love to know your opinion down in the comment section. What do you think? Is there any that you would add to this list, or would you change some things up? If you want to find out what the YouTube algorithm handpicked for you to watch, check out that video right there.